Hello everyone! In this week's video, I'm doing a one-layer challenge and taking a look at the UE16 Drawing Monitor. It has been a while since the last time I did a one-layer challenge, and I thought it'd be fun to do again, except I wasn't sure who I wanted to draw. So over on my community tab, I requested suggestions from all of you and made a poll based off of your comments. The character that won the poll was Sunset Shimmer from My Little Pony Equestria girls, so I will be drawing her. But before we jump into the challenge, let's take a look at what I'll be drawing with in this video. The wonderful people over at UG sent me their UE16 Drawing Monitor. When I open the box, we can find it inside, but my camera starts to bug out, so we'll come back to it in a bit. Under the tablet, we have all the extra items and accessories, like the pen. But this is no normal pen, this is the innovative U pen. This U pen has over 16,000 pressure levels, and I don't think I've ever seen a pen with this many pressure levels before. This means it will respond very well to changes in pen pressure. On the pen, we have an eraser function on the back, as well as 2 express keys on the barrel. The pen also supports 16 degrees of tilt and is battery free, so there is no need to charge it. I was curious as to what was in this box, as it felt very sturdy and kind of hefty. When I opened it, I was still confused. However, I figured out that this is a stand for the display, and I think it is so cool. It would be such an easy stand to travel with since it folds up so small. I love this thing. I will show it in use in a bit, but first let's see what else we have in the box. In this box, we have some cables. This tablet does have full USB-C support, but if your PC does not support full USB-C, you can use the provided 3-in-1 cable. In the second box, we have a cleaning cloth, extra nibs, the nib remover, and the user manual. So those are the extra items. Now let's take a look at the tablet. I do really like that it has this loop to hold the pen. I feel like this is a feature that's not included much nowadays. On the side, we have 9 shortcut keys as well as a dial. There are also 16 digital shortcut keys that you can customize. Now with just a single tap, your favorite tools are at your fingertips, and I think this is really neat. On the right side, we have the cable slots. On the left, we have the power and screen brightness buttons. Also, look at how thin this tablet is. It's just a little over ½ an inch thick, weighs under 3 pounds, and has a 15.4-inch display. It feels super light and easy to carry around. Setting up the UE16 was super easy. I just plugged in the 3-way cable into my laptop and the other end into the tablet, installed the drivers, and it was ready to go. I did spend a bit of time customizing the express keys to my liking, and this process was pretty simple and self-explanatory. I also played around with the pressure sensitivity to make it to my liking. The tablet was responding very well and everything felt really good, so I was ready to start drawing. We are going to be switching to some screen recorded footage, but I will later switch back to camera footage once we start coloring. Like I mentioned, I'll be drawing Sunset Shimmer since that is the character that won the poll. Honestly, I wasn't expecting her to win, but she won by a lot of votes. I don't know a ton about Sunset Shimmer. I do remember bits and pieces about her because I did see some of the things that she was in because my younger sisters would watch it. So before working on the art piece, I watched some videos with clips of her on YouTube so that I could get a feel for her personality. That way I could better draw her. For her pose, I decided to have her turn to the left and she is in 3/4 view. I decided to have her stand with her arms crossed, and I'm going to draw her in this outfit since out of the outfits I saw for her, I liked this one the most. It's probably because it has light teal in it and that's my favorite color, so I'm kind of biased. Even though this is just my rough sketch, it was interesting working with only 1 layer for it. A lot of times I'll use 2 layers, one for the head and one for the rest of the body. That way it is easier for me to change the size of either of them if needed. I'll often have to make the head either smaller or bigger depending on how I draw the body. And once the rough sketch was done, I locked its transparency and made it a light pink. This will make it easier for me to go over the sketch with cleaner lines. So my way of going about cleaning up the sketch is I'll draw my cleaner lines and then erase all of the pink rough sketch around the lines. This is of course going to be tedious, but it's the only way that seemed like it would work with 1 layer. Oh, also drawing on the UE16 feels very nice. The screen has a matte finish and slight texture to it that helps the process feel more natural. I always find it easier to draw on a slightly textured screen compared to a slick screen, so I like this feature. The size also feels very good. Like I mentioned, the display is 15.4 inches, and it's a size that doesn't feel too small, but also doesn't feel too large. I would say it's a nice happy medium where you can work comfortably. I usually work on a 22-inch display, but I didn't have any issue working at this size. Out of the one-layer drawings I have made, I feel like this one is probably the most complicated since it is in 3/4 view instead of front view. For the other drawings, I could use the symmetrical ruler, but I can't really use that for this one, and the ruler really helped speed things up for the previous attempts since I'm kind of only drawing one side. The face itself took me 47 minutes to clean up, and that's when I decided that I needed to make the picture more simple, or else I was not going to be able to get it done in time. So I made a new canvas that had the picture cropped, and to help fill in the extra space, I add a hand pose in. I decided to go with a love hand pose since I feel like I do the peace pose too much, and this felt a bit different. It was really interesting sketching in this way because I did my rough sketch in a light pink, then I did a cleaner version with a darker pink, and then I did the final with black. It almost kind of felt like when I work with pencil traditionally, except when I work with pencil traditionally, I'm able to use an ink pen for my final line art, and that won't erase when I use an eraser. However, with digital art, I don't really have that option, so I kind of just have to erase around all my lines, which, like I said, is a bit more tedious. Technically, with this footage, you can't tell if I'm using more than one layer or not, but I promise I am only using one layer. You just have to trust me. Cheating at a challenge kind of makes there be no point in doing it, so I don't cheat. It would take all the fun out of it. That being said, I did need a bit of a workaround for something. Once the line art was in place, it was time to add color. But when I erased the pink sketch, there was still some of it close to the line art, and this was making filling in the base colors really tedious, as I would have to fill them all in by hand. However, I did think of a workaround, but it does require that I make another layer, sort of. I go to Edit and select Convert Brightness to Opacity. This will make all of the pink gray. Then I go to Correction Layer and select the brightness and contrast option and bump up the contrast to get rid of all the gray so that only the black and white are left. Now, when you make a correction layer, this is technically another layer, but it's not one for drawing. You can't see it in my camera frame, but once I made the correction layer, I merged everything, so it was still all one layer that I was drawing with. I guess this kinda is a bit of a cheat, but in other drawing programs, you can correct the contrast without making a layer, so I feel like it's okay. I technically could have taken my sketch to a different software and edited the contrast there, but that just felt overly troublesome, so yeah. Either way, I still did all the drawing on one layer, and now that all of my lines don't have a bit of pink surrounding them, filling in the base colors was really simple. The display on the UE16 is very nice and displays colors very well. They are very bright, vibrant, and it has smooth color transitions. It features 143% sRGB color volume, and it also has customizable display modes for better matching colors, and also a monochrome mode. I was actually really surprised when I learned this drawing tablet is under $200. It's a great size, feels really nice to draw on, is very responsive. The pen has an eraser function and shortcut keys. The tablet has 9 shortcut keys and a dial, plus the floating shortcut keys. On top of all of this, the tablet is very light and comes with a stand. I feel like it's a tablet that you could bring with you on the go if you have a decently sized backpack or bag. If you're looking for a drawing tablet with a screen that is on the more affordable side, I definitely recommend this one. My experience with it went very well, and I didn't encounter any issues. And like I said, I was super surprised by the price. I thought it was going to be closer to like $300. It definitely gets 5 stars from me. For the coloring, I kept it more simple since I am working on one layer. I had my brush set to multiply and a lower opacity for applying the shadows. I also made a lot of use of the selection tool to help me stay within certain areas, and also used the airbrush a good amount for softer shadows. It's definitely not the fanciest shading I have ever done, but I do think it still looks nice and gets the job done. Drawing Sunset Shimmer was very interesting. I feel like the most complicated part was her hair. It was interesting trying to draw it with my proportions and style, and also trying to make it all make sense while still looking like the character's hair. Adding the yellow parts was definitely the hardest part. I am pleased with how they turned out though, and they make the hair very fun. I've never really added a secondary color to hair in this way, but it might be something I should consider for my characters. For the finishing touches, I wanted to avoid using more correction layers, so I saved a PNG version and opened it in the Windows Photo Editor to kind of play around with the contrast and values, as well as adding a bit of tilt to the composition. And with all of that, the picture is done. I enjoyed doing this one layer challenge. It was a nice change of pace. It was also really fun drawing a character I've never drawn before. Plus, working on the UE16 was a very nice experience. If you want to check it out for yourself, there are links in the description and pinned comment down below. Well, that is all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week in my next video. Bye!